Hello there. I'm Keo Sterone Beatmaker. And welcome to the Monday Mindset. First ever live stream. Happy New Year. New Year, new you. And that is going to be the topic for today's episode. It's a new year. It's a new you. And although it has been quite some time since 2019, I'm gonna put up a funny meme for y'all to peep. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Give me 1 second. I got a lot of things open that I gotta close. But I think this meme is appropriate. Given the climate of the world we're in right now. But hold on, let me. I got too many things up. Okay, there we go. If you can see the meme, 2019, 2023, it has seems like a blur, doesn't it? It just all flows into one. But yeah, it's a new year, it's a new you. And I know for a lot of us out there right now, 2019 into 2023 has been pretty wild. I think that's an appropriate way to put it. But also very revealing. And I think that's another important thing for all of us to keep in mind, is how revealing this year has been. To the world. I know a lot of us have been just kind of caught up in the chaos of it all. And I think it's appropriate that now that it's 2023, now that it's a new year, it's good to kind of enter this new year with a fresh mindset and a fresh outlook and perspective and a fresh motivation. To quote the great Rumi, be like melting snow, wash yourself of yourself. And I think that is extremely appropriate for the new year and how to start the new year off. You have to to wash yourself of the last year and all of the frustrations and all of the goals that you had not followed through with, and all the achievements you may have missed, and all of the failures. And you take what you can learn from them, you filter it, and you wash away the rest, and you move forward and you persevere. And I think that's something that's extremely important when we are approaching the beginning of a new year, is to try to not carry the burdens of the previous year with you, even if they're still ongoing. It's time to approach them with a fresh perspective and a fresh mindset. And I think that is so important when we start off a new year. And to be honest with you, I'm not big on like New Year's resolutions or anything like that. As if you've listened to the Monday Mindset, if you've listened to me before, I always say that life is a continuing education unit. You never stop learning. And New Year's resolutions are, in my way, are kind of just, they don't really have any real merit. To me, you need to be continuously being consistent. And that requires constantly improving yourself. And even if you have setbacks, you have to hold yourself accountable and continue to move forward with that consistency. And, you hear with a lot of New Year's resolutions, I'm going to lose this weight. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to eat sugar. I'm not going to do this for this year or for this month or something like that. And I'm like, how about you make a New Year's resolution that you're going to be consistent regardless? And that is what's more important, is the consistency. Even with the setbacks, it's the consistency that matters. And that's the problem. People will have these New Year's resolutions, and they have a week where they don't work out or whatever, and then they're like, oh well, that's it. It's done. I guess I'm gonna have to wait till next year or start over. All of this, and I'm like, no, you keep going. You hold yourself accountable, and you get back to it. And that's something that I firmly believe, that even, because we're all human. And if you don't acknowledge the fact that you are human, if you don't acknowledge the fact that you are someone that is going to make mistakes, and the best thing you can do for yourself is to move forward, is to acknowledge the mistakes, hold yourself accountable, and then be that much better. Sometimes even, I'll give you an example. You know, um, I'll give you an example. Like for me, there are times where I will, if I, work, let's say I missed a day working out, I'll make up for it on a break day, on a day that I have my breaks. And even then, it may not be like a big workout. It might be a light workout. It might be, some light power yoga. Or maybe, I'll cycle for 20 minutes. Um, that's essentially kind of how I would, view it. But, my whole thing about it is that it's just the new year and the new you, is that it's kind of like that St. Vincent song, I'm just the same, just brand new. And it's about it's about the consistency of maintaining the self-improvement in oneself throughout the year. And one thing that I believe is that, and I will say, is that the little victories pave way for the long-term victories. And that's something that we all, need to kind of learn and kind of teach ourselves when trying to accomplish goals and achievements, and to overcome certain insecurities that we are experiencing in our life. And I know that's, I know that's not easy. And I'm not saying that, it was easy for me or anything like that. That's the last thing I'm trying to say. What I am trying to say is that, you know, what's great about those little victories is that they make you feel confident. They bring that strength, and they give you that strength and security in yourself and confidence to approach the bigger battles. I guess it's kind of like you have the skirmishes, and then you have the great battles. And when you win those skirmishes and then you approach the bigger battle, you feel more confident in yourself. You feel more reassured, and you're more motivated too. You're more driven. And that is the most important aspect about those little victories. I think someone is making tea because I can hear a kettle pop. Sorry. um, but that's the beautiful thing about overcoming those small little victories, because you are then more confident and reassured in yourself when you approach the bigger battles, because you've learned from the skirmishes. You've learned what worked and what didn't work. And that's essentially, what's so beautiful about, what I promote and call the art of living, is that you are constantly learning. No- You know, I say, and I live life as a lesson learned. That way you're never truly disappointed, because you can learn something from any aspect of your life, even the failures. You don't you're not When you train your mindset to look at life in that manner, you're not sad about the failures or the mistakes. You might be disappointed. You know what, granted, yeah, you might be sad, but you are able to learn from them. You go and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm a little sad right now, but I see the lesson that I learned from this. And even though you're sad, you feel good about yourself. And that's the most important aspect, is that you end up feeling good about yourself regardless of, you know, the hurdle or the situation. You feel proud of yourself. You feel validated in yourself. And that is something that, going into the new year, try to approach when changing your mindset about these kind of things. And that's the whole thing. New year, new you. It's new year, new mindset. It's a new way to approach the world. And that is what's very important when it comes to new you, new mindset. New you, new year, new you. You have a new mindset. You're going to approach things differently. You're going to approach challenges differently. You're going to approach confrontation differently. But you're going to be consistent about it. It's not going to be a one-off. You have to be consistent and continuously improve upon that consistency. And that is what's fundamental in the art of living. And as you gain better strength and fortitude in understanding that philosophy and understanding the fortitude that comes with such a mentality within the philosophy, you're going to feel reassured about your individuality and what it means to be human. And that's the most important part about it, is being reassured in your humanity. And that's something that I continuously believe and am trying to um, promote for people. And being able to remind yourself of your humanity and being able to improve upon your humanity makes you that much better of a person. And that is what's so important about the philosophy of the art of living. And not only that, what's important about approaching the new year with a new mindset, because you're feeling more reassured in yourself that you're going to approach this world, this new year, differently, in a way that is going to improve yourself in every avenue that you are struggling with. And that's all that really matters. And that's all that really matters, is that continuous education of self-improvement. And as people move forward and adapt to the new mindset that they're aiming for, they will feel more confident in wanting to add this mindset into other aspects of their life. And listen, we have to keep in mind that, it takes time, and you have to, make, you have to. One thing that I always have to say, I always kind of talked about, is like, when I'm going to like work out, or I'm going to do this, or if I'm going to do certain things that I have a lot of passion for, or a lot of interest in, or something that I'm going to be challenging myself in, I try to get into that mindset, and that mindset of, I am going to achieve this. Even if I fail, I am going to achieve. And that is something that we all need to have in our programming when we're going into the new year with a new mindset in regards to any challenges or obstacles that we are facing from last year that are now in here. It's kind of like, rollover minutes, rollover problems. But you're going to approach them with a new mind, a new adaptive perspective. Because, if where people are so ego driven that, they're so hell bent to prove people wrong, um, in the vein of proving themselves right. And most often than not, it never works out in their favor. And they can't see that because they don't have any accountability in themselves, and they don't have any self-awareness in themselves. And that's, something that you see a lot of going on in this world right now, is a lack of self-awareness and accountability in oneself. And, that's my one issue that I have with people who take on these New Year's resolutions, is there's no accountability if they fail in the New Year's. They're like, oh well, I'll start again next year, or they make excuses when there's no consistency. And also, it's because people put so much unrealistic pressure on themselves when trying to achieve these goals or expectations, that they end up becoming burnt out, or they end up convincing themselves, this, I can't do it. This ain't for me. It ain't worth it. And that's why I don't do New Year's resolutions. I had a friend ask me, do you have any New Year's resolutions? And it is to continuously be the best version of myself. That's my New Year's. And that means every single day I work on being better than yesterday. And that is consistency. And that is what I mean about approaching the new year with a new mindset. And that mindset can be, being more consistent and not having these one-off goals. I don't have like one-off goals. All of my goals continue and they approve upon themselves. Like anything in this world. I mean, it's whether or not you believe in evolution. I know everyone has their theories, but it's about the whole. If you look at evolution, it's about they don't stop. I mean, certain animals have stopped in their evolution because they perfected it. You look at sharks, you look at alligators and crocodiles. They were around since dinosaurs. They have perfected their evolution, but it has taken them millions and millions of years to get to that point. And not every animal is at that point yet. There are some that are. And we as humans have to understand that, you know, improvements within ourselves is in an individual mindset and in spiritual and body is a continuous evolution. And that is all that we seem to keep on forgetting about when we approach our goals. And whatever you're trying to work towards, is that once you reach it, it's going to evolve into the next phase, and you have to prepare yourself for that next phase. And that's what I mean by life is a continuing education unit. You don't stop learning, you keep on improving. Why is it that you look at Eastern monks, and they're always talking about self-improvement, that even after this life, you go on to the next life, you're still working on your improvement to be better. That's why karma is such a pronounced thing in a lot of these mystic teachings and those who are initiated. Karma is a very important thing. It's very apparent in Buddhism and Eastern philosophies. So we have to keep in mind that even you can, whether you don't believe in karma or not, your karma is a reflection of how you live your life. So the way the universe will treat you is in relation to how you treat yourself, and how you treat yourself is in a relation to how you treat others. I mean, it's all connected. As above, so below. It's all connected. Whatever mindset you want to go into it, it's all connected. That's why I am such a proponent and I advocate for the individual. And as I've always have said, a community built on individuals with the same morals and goals can do incredible things. An community of individuals, okay, who are unified under the same morals and goals, that can do incredible things. But what you're seeing around now, what you're seeing in this new age, is this hive mentality, and there's no individuality in the hive mentality. You're seeing people lose their individuality. And when you lose your individuality, you lose your mindset. You lose your ability to improve upon yourself. Why do you see in these woke communities, they're I'm gonna be frank, they're dirty, they're unkept, they clearly don't bathe, they clearly don't eat healthy. They don't have a healthy mindset. They're not positive. I mean, you look at those woke communities, they're not happy. They're not healthy. They don't have a good mindset. There's no individuality. You can't really distinguish them. But if you look at a community of individuals, you're able to distinguish them. Even if they're all, wearing cowboy hats, or if they're all, wearing baseball caps, or if they're all dressed in similar, styles, there is individuality within them nonetheless. When you go and speak to them individual, they're all unified under their creeds and their goals, but they're all individuals nonetheless. But if you go to those communities of hives, there's none of that. They all say the same thing. They all yell, they all scream, they're negative, they're vindictive. And that is not a healthy way to live this world. And that's why when come into this new year with a new mindset, try to disconnect yourself from the hive mind. And that hive mentality doesn't have to always be like the woke community. It could be that you are obsessive with mainstream media, or you're obsessive with influencers and content creators, whatever it can be that turns you into that hive mentality, that ends up stripping you or taking away your individuality. And don't get me wrong, there are things where it's okay to be part of a community, but you got to be in that community and have your own individual thoughts. Even if you agree with a lot of what everyone's saying, you still got to have your own individual way of approaching those things and thoughts. And that's what I'm talking about. If, for example, I'm a big fan of movies and like TV shows and things like that. And I can get pretty critical. But I also know that like if I'm talking to somebody and let's use for example the show Rings of Power. I may be talking to someone who may love the show, and I may express how I'm not a big fan of it, my issues with it, this and that. But then in the end, I'll say, "Did you?" But regardless of that, did you enjoy the show? And they're like, "Yeah, I did." Okay, that's all that matters in the end. So that's what I'm kind of talking about. It's like I'm not, I will express my displeasures, but I will also in the end reassure them, hey, even though I'm not a big fan of it and I have my gripes, as long as you enjoyed it, that's all that matters. And that's important. See, that's a way of expressing, a little bit of a hive thought, but keeping the individual. Because there are many people who are not fans of that show, who do not like the disrespect of the lore, of Tolkien, all that kind of stuff. But they're also individuals within that. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like in this new year, you need to approach this new year with a new mind, a new willingness to be open to new perspectives, new ideas, new thoughts. And that is the only way that you can consistently improve upon yourself. And that is what I mean by, you know, maintaining your individuality. Because by maintaining your individuality, you're maintaining your ability to grow, to expand your horizons, to have new perspectives, to maybe outgrow old thoughts. I think we are all filled with thoughts and perspectives that could use some trimming. Um, that we can finally outgrow, because it doesn't work with our new perspective, and maybe it just doesn't fit the way the world is. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things in this world that do not fit and make sense. I am very much aware of that. Like I said at the beginning of the stream and the podcast, is a weird world. I am very much aware of that. It's getting wild out there. But I'm also very much aware that, we can disconnect ourselves from this chaos and be, outside observers and have our opinions, but make sure that we take the necessary time to really develop our thoughts and our opinions. And that's something that's really lacking right now, is people taking time to really develop their thoughts and opinions. Everyone is so quick to jump into having an opinion that's not even theirs without even taking time to do research. And that's just another thing I think generally for all of us, is that, going into this new year, maybe be more apprehensive in joining the bandwagon. Be apprehensive of, following the trend without even really knowing what the trend is. Because you might actually end up promoting or normalizing something that's extremely negative or unhealthy to society or to the individual. And I say that because we're living in a time now, and I have a Ronin perspective episode dropping on this tomorrow. That we're living in a time where the way that I'm talking right now could be deemed dangerous, could be deemed heretical. If I was to sit here and be like, hey, work on improving yourself, be more open minded, be an individual, that's a threat. That's a threat to the narrative. That's a threat to the mainstream. That's a threat to certain woke groups out there. So I know that even what I'm talking about is as nice and as kind and as sympathetic and supportive as my words are. There are those who will deem it as a threat. And unfortunately, people have been programmed into viewing these kind of thoughts and ideas as a threat, which is unfortunate. That advocating for, hey, be more mindful about your words and be more considerate about how people are interpreting your words, whether that's through text or in person. People be like, no, I need to speak my truth and this. And I'm like, listen, everyone is entitled to speak their words, but be mindful about how your words are going to be interpreted and how people are going to react to you. But people are just quick to make assumptions. People are quick to not take that time and energy to really be mindful about their words and how they're approaching society. And listen, I'm a very strong proponent. I believe in being able to speak your mind and speak freely. And listen, we need, what was that, like Joe Rogan would say, you need bad speech in order to you need good speech in order to combat bad speech. And we need people out there that say nonsensical, stupid, outrageous things so that we know, okay, we know they're talking out their butt right now. That's why the whole room is smelling funky. So we need that so that then people who out there can criticize them and hold them accountable for their words. And that way other people are then more willing to be like, oh, okay, this person, he's talking out his butt. He doesn't know what he's saying. It's not right. It's disingenuous. Let me be more mindful to take a step back before I jump onto the bandwagon like everybody else. I'm noticing we got some people in the live stream. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. And make sure to share if you know anyone who's looking to get on this new year with the right mindset. But like I was saying, we need to not allow the hive mentality to infect us. And I know that is something that a lot of people are struggling with, or they have fully, as I like to kind of put it, drank the Kool-Aid. And that's no disregard to them. All I'm talking about is I'm supportive of if whatever choice you want to make, as long as you're not hurting someone, as long as you're not infringing on someone's ability to live or be an individual, no problems. I have no problems. But the moment you start doing those things, then I have issues. And that's what I mean about, having to disconnect from this hive mentality, because it's costing so many people not only their individuality, but friends, families, communities. And we need to leave that type of divisive mentality and behavior in the past. It's a new year, and we need to leave that kind of stuff behind. I am tired of seeing that. I am tired of seeing, people allowing this, the narrative and the mainstream to divide them from their individuality, and that costs them friends and family and communities. It's unnecessary. And I really want people to really look at this new year as a chance to outgrow, such a negative and parasitical mind. It's not healthy. You're not improving yourself. You're actually degrading yourself. You're degrading what it means to be human. And that's the most unfortunate thing. And that's what's so sad about what's going on right now is seeing people just completely and utterly just erase what it means to be human, just degrade their humanity in the veins of of feeling some sense of power or control over the world and the narrative and what is right and what is wrong. And I'm not for that. I don't agree to that, and, and I don't aspire to that. And and for me it's like, you know I know that I'm not I know that I'm not the only one to have lost friends or family or connections, since the beginning of all of this. Um, but I also know that, even though we may not necessarily recover some of those relationships that we have lost, there is still time to learn from them and improve on them to the newer relationships that we build and grow. And that's what I mean about embracing, that a community of individuals unified in their goals and their moral creeds can really do a lot of good. But you're not seeing that right now. You're not seeing a unified community of individuals. What you're seeing, unfortunately, is this hive mentality. And it's stripping away our individuality, and it's stripping away our ability to appreciate the humanity, to appreciate who we are. And I wanted to share um, some Ronin thoughts, just to kind of give people something to kind of think about, when they're going into this new year. And I think I'll start with this one first. All right. Love is as absolute as the one life we live. We are offered many chances to fall in love, but we are only offered one life to be in love. Now, for this new year, you know, we all need to, one, love ourselves. We need to first value and appreciate ourselves before we start trying to love another. Because if we can't love ourselves, if we can't value ourselves, we can't value or love another. Because if you constantly devalue yourself, if you are constantly hurting yourself with words, that is how you are going to treat someone else. Even if you claim to love them, it is a warped, twisted perception of love. And we are offered many chances to fall in love, but we are only offered one life to be in love. And you know, it's really about how many chances are you going to waste trying to fall in love, especially when your behavior does not seem as if it's someone who's looking for love, but someone who's looking for a quick fix. And that's I think that's one of the biggest problems that we're dealing with right now in society and in relationships, especially in the Western culture, is the 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 push to have many experiences, but to never really experience anything. Um, and it kind of reminds me, of a woman that I was seeing for a time, and you know, she would she told me, and this actually made a lot of sense, how she had been with a lot of men, but it wasn't until she had been with me that she really knew what it felt like to truly experience, being with someone. And I think that really comes down to also to the lack of really taking time to know somebody, to know somebody enough to actually invest physically yourself, emotionally, spiritually, or even your own love. And that's one of the issues that I see going on a lot in this world when it comes to people's lack of truly getting to know someone before they invest anything in them. And especially for, and I can only speak as being as a man, you know, how, we as men, oftentimes we have to hide our love, for at the risk of it being exploited, at being manipulated. And, and it's the reality of the situation, so you can't, for men, when it comes to love, we can't even truly love wholly, because and wholeheartedly, because we don't even know if we're even getting that in return to begin with. And I will repeat it again, I am speaking from a man's perspective, but I am also speaking from someone who has of lived experiences. And that is why, even, as I say, we are offered many chances to fall in love, but like, how many of us are falling in love with the idea, but that's not who they are. Many people will do a very good job of putting on a performance. Like I always say, you need to wait for someone to show you their true colors, then you know who they really are. And so many people are so quick to fall in love without even knowing the person's true colors. And then they become bitter, they become distant, they become distrustful, not only of love, but of themselves and of others. And so then they live through this world feeling hollow and bitter, and never truly getting a chance to actually be in love, because they never even had they never ever took the time to grow in love. How many people fall in love without actually even taking the time to grow in love? And think about that. We have this one life, and people are so quick to fall in love, fall head over heels, and they don't even grow into the love, grow into what could be real, what could be true, what could be absolute. And that is what I mean. If you don't take time to grow in love with someone, then you're never truly going to appreciate the love that could be shared, that could be experienced, that could evolve and grow as individuals who are together. But, we don't live in that type of, society and culture over here in the West. And as unfortunate as that may be, I still believe that, speaking such words are important, because people need to hear these, even if it's just one person. Because, if we do not understand and appreciate the value of what it means to love yourself and in turn love another, then we are going to lose what it means to be human. And that is what I mean, is that we have so many people who are so quick to put expectations, to demand, you know, to have a list of demands without even taking the time to even understand if said individual can even acknowledge or even embrace such a list of demands. And that's the most unhealthy part, is people go in with so many expectations without even taking a chance to understand, do you even have any expectations within yourself? You have so many expectations for others, but you haven't even addressed the issues internally. You haven't even addressed the expectations that you have of yourself, but you are quick to expect those of others. It's foolish how often people will fall into a relationship, going into a relationship, expecting that other person to improve them. And that is, it's very apparent, especially when it comes to women. But I digress. I'm not gonna. That's not what we're here for. What we're here for is for self-improvement. And I'm not someone of the manosphere or any of that nonsense. So I'm a man of guidance, of mindfulness. But I also am going to speak from a man's perspective, especially when it comes to love. But I'm trying to also be general, but I'm trying to also use examples that I can relate to and that I know other people can somewhat relate to and understand where I'm coming from. But, how often is it that, there are so many people in this world who claim to be in love, but they're in love with someone else, but they've settled with another person. They fall in love with the idea of this person, and then they want to put that idea into someone else. And that's not how love works. And I know that my words seem, like I'm being callous or mean, or like saying that you can't love someone, that you can't be genuine. But you can. But we also have to learn from our experiences in love. If you haven't learned from your experiences in love, then you're never going to appreciate being in love, because so many people are not even really in love. It is a delusion, a false reality, a false narrative they have created for themselves. And far too often that tends to be of the opposite sex. But men do it also as well. And that's the problem with the Instagram models and the OnlyFans and all of that nonsense. They're selling men this idea that, she will eventually pick me. That's not how it works. I was recently listening to a guy. They call them orbiters. Even these girls who have guy friends, who have a bunch of guy friends, they're just orbiters. Waiting for her to see them, waiting for her to fall in love with them. But we're only offered one life. And you're not going to take the time to grow in love with someone. You're going to take the time to fall in love with the idea of someone. And that's no different than the women who pick, these guys out here who paint this beautiful portrait, but then when you actually uncover the canvas, it's torn, it's broken, and you got played. And then you blame the men for your bad decisions. That's not how life works. That's not how accountability works. That's not how self-improvement works. That's not how learning how to improve, growing, and being in love works. But, like I said, I live life as a lesson learned. And that is a continuing education unit of life. And I know that that's not necessarily easy for everyone. But like I said, you have to train yourself. And like I said, it's a continuing education unit, meaning you never stop learning. You never stop improving. And yes, like as I like to put it, we will all have our moments of weakness. But the trick is to acknowledge those moments of weakness and to move forward and to maintain yourself, especially when it comes to love. Because love is a tough thing. And I'll never forget, recently someone said something, and then I will move over to the next quote. But recently a follower, and I'm going to give a shout out to Bushido Mindset. But he said something that I really liked. And he said, love, such a complexity it is. It is like sitting with a tiger and hoping it doesn't devour you. Something to think on, ladies and gents. Give me one moment. I just need to get something to drink. I have returned. When we embrace the true self, we embrace our potential. A potential that can exceed far beyond our fears and shine light on the magnificent aspects of our potential. Peace and joy is formulated by embracing self actualization. This allows a fully functioning person to actualize all their potentiality that is found within the art of living. Individuals who refuse their call to adventure, they remain dormant, unfulfilled, unrealized, never actualized, remaining ignorant of the true self, denying the soul of revelations. You know, I if you know Joseph Campbell, you know of the hero's journey. You know of the call to adventure. And I'm a strong believer that, we are all on our heroes and heroines journey. And yes, there is a hero's journey version of the heroine story. Um, and, the reason why I believe that we are all on that journey is because, this is what's fascinating about life is that it really is an adventure. um, and especially when you realize your call to adventure, and that could be your passion, that could be your ideals, that could be a life-changing opportunity, whatever it could be. But in that moment, you're embracing a potentiality that could open so many doors for you, that could improve your well-being, your mental being. And that's the beauty of embracing the true self, embracing who you are, and all the beautiful and wonderful things that you can offer this world. And I'm not saying that, it isn't possible. It is 110% possible. But, you have to be willing to embrace every aspect of yourself. You have to embrace the journey of self actualization. You have to invest into the art of living. And that is not something that comes easily overnight. You have to change your mindset. You have to, as the great Yoda once said, you have to unlearn what you have learned. And that's something that comes with the new year. And new you is you have to unlearn what you have unlearned. You have to be the same, but just brand new. You have to chisel away the old shell and make way for a new version. Because that's how you can find peace and joy in oneself. by embracing the actualization of who you really are, by embracing your potentiality. And as fearful and as insecure as you may be in embracing your potentialities, no one else is going to do it for you. And as we already are well aware, we only have one life to live. So you might as well go for it. So, embrace all the potentialities that your life has to offer, that your skills have to offer, that the passions that you invest in have to offer. You don't know until you give it a shot. There are so many things that we are so apprehensive to take a chance at because we don't feel that we're that type of person. I used to feel that way when it came to making music. I used to believe only certain types of people could make music. And I felt that I was not that type of person until one day I said, F it, I'm going to go for it. And I did it. And I realized, wow, I could do this. I wonder what else I could probably do. And that's what, as I said earlier, the small term victories pave way for the long term victories. And those small term victories in music paved way to me releasing my own debut album. And that was me embracing my self-actualization and formulating peace and joy in my passion. And, we have seen people who refuse their call to adventure. They're miserable. They're unfulfilled. They take their frustrations out on everyone else. They don't have any accountability. They don't have any real passions. They're kind of boring. Not really good in bed. So we've met those kind of people. We know how they're like. And as it says, they remain dormant. They're just these people, and they're just kind of walking around, and you can kind of tell they're awake, but they're really asleep, And what I mean by unfilled, you can just feel it. You can feel the way they talk, the way they complain about things. There's a sense of a void in them that hasn't been filled. And then when they're unrealized, they don't realize that they are the problem, or they don't they are unrealized in the fact that they can actually fix the problems that they themselves have created, that they themselves are. And they're unrealized in the fact that they were actually they could have actually been good at something, but they let other people deny them that chance. And maybe it was words. And yeah, maybe it hit you for a little bit, for a couple years, but maybe there was a moment where you felt like, what, I want to get back into it. But you let those words from 2 years ago still dictate the actions of the present. And that is someone who is unrealized. And someone who has never actualized is someone who has never embraced what it means to be human, who has never embraced their individuality, who has never stepped outside of the bubble, who has never rejected the parasite. And those people are ignorant. They're egotistical. They don't know what it means to be I. They have lost sight of the self and have given fully and completely into the false reality while denying the essential reality. They don't have any identity. They're losing sight of what it means to be human, meaning they're losing their soul. We've met people like that. Some people call them NPCs, non-playable characters. They walk around this world. You look at them in the eyes are glossy, and there's just nothing behind them. There's no life behind them. Because they're dormant, unfulfilled, unrealized, and unactualized. So their ego is what drives them. Their negative mentality, their pessimistic verbiage. It's all there for you, in front of you. So they will never be revealed to who they truly could be. The revelations that would be actualized will be forever tossed away. But that doesn't have to be you. That doesn't have to be this new year. I can assure you that 2023 is going to be one for the history books. As the veil continues to get lifted, you will see the truth unmasked. But the question remains, how will you maintain your individuality? How will you maintain yourself? Regardless of the veil that is lifted, regardless of the truths that are seen, how will you maintain yourself? Will you continue and advocate for self-improvement and for the individual? Or will you speak of the hive mentality and speak words of poison, of malice, of vindictiveness? But the choice is yours. You have to choose the type of individual you wish to be. No one else can. And for our final thought, I present to you: an individual must strengthen their will as a python strangles their prey, never wavering, never faulting, determined to succeed. This is going to be a challenging year for all of us. We have seen the political collapse. We have seen the societal collapse. But that does not mean that you have to fall victim to it, nor does it have to be actualized. But we also have to strengthen our individuality, strengthen the fortitude to protect one's mind against the hive. Until you are able to protect your mind from the hive, you will fall victim. And to protect your mind from the hive, you must fortitude yourself. You must strengthen yourself. You must strengthen your individuality. You must strengthen your mind. You must strengthen your body. If your body is weak, your mind will falter. If your mind is weak, your body has already failed. So you must strengthen yourself. A python never gives up on its prey once it has it in its grasp. Neither should you when it comes to improving yourself, especially upon this new year. A new year of many revelations and truths, not only for yourself, but for others as well. That's why you must maintain the truth within this new year, the truth within yourself. You must strengthen yourself, strengthen the individual within. That is the only way you will truly succeed. Truly succeed in your insecurities, truly succeed in your goals, your achievements, truly succeed in overcoming your fears and making your fears your strengths. But you must maintain your individuality. And people are afraid of maintaining their individuality out of the fear of being canceled, out of the fear of being ostracized, out of the fear of being pushed out of the club. And I say, you know what? It was always better on the outside. Better air to breathe. And that is the whole point. You know, a python, they are individuals. And they hunt as individuals. And we as individuals, we can hunt, we can succeed, we can overcome. But we also must understand that we need a community at times to unify us, to aid us. You know, and that means asking for help at times. I know it can be frustrating, and I know at times it can feel unnerving and embarrassing to ask for help, but it's important. And that is something that strengthens your fortitude in yourself, is being able to ask for help. Is being able to have built a community around you where you have the ability to ask for help. And that is so important to what it means to strengthen your fortitude. Because strengthening your fortitude means that said fortitude has found its potentiality within itself by marinating in its life experiences. And we are all capable of such marination. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it sounded good. But I want us all to realize that you are a python of strength and durability. But you have to believe it. I always say, I always say, as long as you look confident in what you're doing, ain't nobody gonna question you. It kind of and I kind of picked up that philosophy when back in the day when me and my friends we weren't old enough yet to gamble, but we would go to the casino to gamble, and I remember I'll tell them, guys, like, you have to walk in like you have nothing to hide. And every time we'd go, always walk in, they would always get stopped, carded. I would never get stopped and carded. One, I told them also we got to walk in individually. Remember, individual. And you have to walk in like you mean it. You got to look confident. I was not 21, but I looked confident that I was 21. And they saw that confidence and they're like, oh yeah, he's 21. He's an experienced man. And, it also helps that I did look older than all of my friends at that time. When in, 7th grade, I already had a beard. So, and that's what I kind of mean is that even with, a python is confident in itself, even if its prey is twice its size, they still pull it off. And that's kind of what I mean about, one must be like a python. You have to strengthen your individuality. You have to never waver in who you are and what it means to be true and what it means to be I. Because you will always succeed as an individual, but you will fail if you are in a hive. Individuals, even in a community, always succeed, but the hive mentality always fails. It always falters. It always ends up eating itself. You look around you. Look at the world around you. It's so apparent. But that is regardless. The point being is that it's a new year and it's a new you. And it's time to maintain that new perspective, that new chance of having a new life, of improving on the continuing life units that you have learned. Because regardless of where we are in life, as long as you continue to strengthen and improve your mind, your body, your spirit, no matter what life throws at you, you'll be able to manage it because you approach it as a lesson learned. And that way you're not disappointed. You might be sad, you might be frustrated, but you know what, damn, you might actually be disappointed, but you are proud and you learn from it. Because you know what, hey, it didn't work out. Yeah, I messed up, but you know what? I now understand what I can do next time to be better. And and that is what I advocate in the art of living, is to, be the best version of yourself by being better than yesterday. And that is how you pave way to the long-term victories. Because even if it's just a tiny thing, even if it's one tiny change that you make in your life, it might have a significant outcome in the potentialities of who you can become and the opportunities that might present itself to you. And that's the beauty of embracing your individuality, of embracing being true to yourself. Be the clearest you. Much love, 92. Yes. And like I said earlier, as 92 Days has clearly pointed out, Be like melting snow. Wash yourself of yourself. That is how you can improve. That is how you can be the best version of yourself. And that is how you can constantly remind yourself, you know what? I'm human. Yeah, I may fail. Yeah, I may make mistakes. Yes, I may have moments of weakness. But if I am self-aware of those moments, if I hold myself accountable in those moments, and I improve upon those moments, then I'm doing exactly what it means to be human. And I should not beat myself up or be too critical of myself. But we have to keep in mind we're human, and that is something that we're all going to be part of. I know that some of us out there, we are really, we can beat ourselves up, and I am one of those people. I would be lying if I were not to admit that I'm a very self-critical person. But even though I am self-critical of myself, and sometimes extremely, I still am grateful and self-aware of what I have achieved thus far. Even if I'm not as proud or as happy about not achieving as much as I wanted, but I also keep in mind, hey, as you always say, the destination determines the journey, and it's different for everybody. And I don't want anyone to feel or think that you have to think exactly like me. That is not the case. The case is to filter what I say, take what works for you, take what fits with your perspective, with what you're trying to do in your life, and apply it. Not everything that I'm going to say is going to be necessarily correct for you, but perhaps it opens a perspective for you to look more into certain avenues of your life. Because all I believe in is that we can all improve upon ourselves, but that also first starts with us doing a deep dive within ourselves. And that deep dive also means you have to appreciate and love yourself first. Even when you're disappointed in yourself, you still got to appreciate and value yourself. And I know that's not an easy thing to do, but it is possible. But it all comes down to changing your mindset. And changing your mindset comes through strengthening yourself. And when you are strengthening yourself, you can see the insecurities ease away. You can see the fears begin to erode, and you can see yourself improving. And even if it's little things. And then the next thing you know, you have achieved a life goal that you never thought was possible. And then the next thing you know, you realize, you know what? This is possible. There is more that I could actually do. More than meets the eye. And I'm starting to realize, wow, there's more to my potentiality than I even thought of. Because we are so often we convince ourselves that we do not have the potentiality to be better than yesterday. We do not have the potentiality to be the best version of ourselves because society will tell us that we can't, or friends and family will tell us that we can't, or someone that we're in a relationship will tell us that we can't because they themselves are afraid of their own potentiality. There are a lot of people in this world who are afraid of their own ability to succeed. And so they take away anyone else's ability or chances of succeeding because they're afraid to fail themselves. And I say, okay, that's your problem, not mine. And anything that you're trying to do to dissuade me from my own achievements proves to me that I'm doing something right. And I gotta double down. And that is how a Python succeeds. It never wavers. It continues. No matter the scenario, no matter the situation, and no matter the size of the prey, it never wavers, it never falters. It is determined to succeed. And most often than not, it always succeeds. And that is the beauty of living life as a lesson learned. That is the beauty of embracing the art of living, because you are embracing the potentialities of your individualism. And I want that for all of us. I believe that we can all be the best versions of ourselves. But that also means taking time to learn about yourself and taking time to learn and love and appreciate yourself. And I know that's not easy. But that is the joy of the art of living, is that you learn about the skills necessary to improve upon yourself, to become the best version of yourself. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Monday Mindset. If you enjoyed this live stream, please hit the like button. If you're listening to the replay, please share the live stream. Let everyone know you are the best version of yourself. And I hope everyone has a fantastic and wonderful new year. You will all succeed in your goals, and then you will overcome your fears, but you must stay true to yourself. And I'll catch y'all later. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and